Hello and welcome students. So today we are going to start another poetry from our class 10 main course book, and the title of this poetry is Tiger in the Zoo, which is written by Leslie Norris. So here this poet is not only a poet, rather he is a very famous writer also. So out of his writing, so many writings he has done, and out of these all, one of the poetry is here we are going to read. In this poetry, actually, the poet is going to tell us so many things. So many poetic devices are also used, and rhyming scheme also I will let you know. And apart from this, altogether 5 stanzas are there. And the theme of this poetry is what? It is all about the contradiction. Contradiction in the behavior of a tiger when it is in its original habitat, or when it is in its in cage, or we can say in zoo. So what kind of different behavior we can see in of tiger? This thing the poet is going to tell us, and he is also just want to tell us that when someone is put into a cage, that time how does the behavior of the particular animal or human being change, and how does it find itself helpless. So these all things we are going to see in this poetry. So it has got altogether 5 stanzas. In between of stanzas, I will be telling you whatever poetic devices are used, and in the end also we shall be talking about the figure of speech or the poetic devices. First, let me speak to you about the rhyming scheme of this poetry. So what rhyme is shown here? So rhyme, generally when we see the lines, last or second last word, those are having same sound. So here when we read the first stanza, we will find the first line, second line and third line are not at all matching with anyone. Therefore, when all 3 lines are having not at all match with any over 3, that time we are calling first line as A, second line as B and third line as C. And the last line, the 4th line of a stanza is just matching with the second line. Therefore, the rhyming scheme of second line and 4th line are same. So, if I talk about the rhyming, we can call it A, B, C and again B. Why again B? Because second line and 4th line are same in rhyming. So, A, B, C, B. This is the rhyming scheme of this poetry. In all the 5 stanzas, we will find that the rhyming schemes are A, B, C and again B. So out of all these 5 stanzas, we shall be discussing about the different stanzas one by one. So let us check out the first stanza. In the first stanza, or in second stanza, or in third stanza, one more thing I am telling you apart from rhyming scheme, that what is it? In all the first 3 stanzas, we have noticed the poet is calling tiger he, and we know it very well, it's a poetic device. Whenever any lifeless thing or anything which is not human is called he or she, it means it is showing personification. So the poetic device of he, whenever this poet is using he again and again for tiger, it means the word he in this poem is showing a poetic device which is personification. So now let us go ahead, because first word is he is starting from he only, and the poet is calling he to the tiger, and therefore that he word is personification here as a figure of speech. Let us go ahead. In the first stanza, the poet is telling us about the behavior of a tiger. We know that the tiger is very ferocious, very dangerous when it is in its original habitat, which is jungle. So here we are going to see that a tiger, when it came inside the cage or in the zoo, that time it found itself totally useless, or as like it does not have any danger, because human beings are also coming and watching and they are seeing that tiger is in the cage and they are talking outside that I have visited a zoo and I saw a tiger, this and that, this whole thing, because they do not know about the real power of tiger. Now it is in the cage. So tiger is not at all happy whenever any animal or human being is put behind the bar or in the cage. That time how we feel, we can understand it very well. In the same way tiger was feeling, and he was moving in that cage only. It cannot go outside, it's moving in that cage. And the poet is also saying that if we see the tiger in the zoo, if we just see its paws, the bottom part of its leg, paws, that we can see it is looking very soft, because it is walking on the floor which is made by the zoo people, and they have just made it plain. Then when the tiger is walking there inside the cage, so its paw became very soft. So it is compared with velvet. Velvet, you know it very well. So when a tiger paw is compared with velvet, it is metaphor. Metaphor is another poetic device. We know it very well. So whenever something is just showing any match with something, then it is called metaphor. So here, whenever something with life is matched with something does not have life, we generally call it metaphor. So here the paws of tiger match with velvet. So it is compared with velvet, therefore it is a metaphor. So we can understand the metaphor is what in this way. In the second stanza, if we go ahead, we will find the tiger is lurking. Generally, whenever it is in its original habitat, we have seen that how tiger hunts. How does tiger hunts? It just go behind some tree or big grass and just keep its eye on the hunt or to which it is going to attack on the animal. Then it goes very slowly and then suddenly just jump and grab the particular animal. So in this way the tiger now he is in the zoo. It cannot attack any animal, it cannot do the thing which it really want to have. And in this way we can say that okay, if in second hand we can understand that tiger is attacking animal and it is just killing other animals, but it is not attacking any of the animal for simply to kill. Rather, it's a survival strategy. Survival strategy means to survive on the land, it has to eat something, and for eating, for its food, as we human work hard for the food, in the same way the tiger is hunting any animal or killing any animal, that is only for its own survival, not only for the just to make fun, but it is its survival strategy. And we can understand it. If tiger will not do that, if for example it does not attack any deer, it means what? The deers will increase too much. So it is harmful for the environment also. So it is to maintaining the environment and to complete the survival of itself, the tiger used to attack on other animal and then it just kill and eat. So for this only it is given. And next, if I go ahead in the third stanza, we will find about the natural habitat. The poet is talking about the natural habitat, which earlier also I said the tiger looks very good only in its natural habitat. It is totally free there. It is just moving and enjoying its life. So generally what we see, the humans are doing what? Nowadays all humans are cutting the wood and cutting the jungles, cutting the forest, and they are increasing day by day and reducing the jungle area. So therefore the poet is saying the tiger is coming nearby the village and it's snarling. It's snarling with the sound, growling sound. So the tiger, when it comes outside the jungle, it means not that it came to attack on human being. It came to kill human being. No, it is not the same. But it is coming to tell us, as we can understand, why the tigers are coming outskirt of jungle, and we can see an outskirt of jungle means at the edge of the jungle from where the village are starting. So tigers are coming at the outskirts of jungle and nearby the village only just to tell the people that you are cutting the forest, you are reducing my natural habitat, and therefore only I am here. I am not here to kill you, but I am here just to tell you, do not cut jungles, do not cut trees, do not reduce woods. So in this way, the tiger is requesting human being, no, he is not attacking on anyone, not coming to harm anyone. So in this way, we can see that this animal is really very much conscious about itself. And in this stanza, we have seen another poetic device, and that is alliteration. And alliteration is what? Repetition of consonant letter in a same line. And in this line, we can see should and smiling. So both are starting from S, and both are S is what? Consonant sound. So repetition of consonant sound in a line is alliteration. So therefore alliteration is shown in the third line. If I in the third stanza, and if I talk about the fourth stanza, the poet is talking about the power, the strength of a tiger. And this also I spoke earlier. The tiger, when it is in its natural habitat, it looks very ferocious. It looks very dangerous, and it is not dare to face it. But when it comes inside the cage, when it is brought to a zoo, that time all its power just limit up to the cage, because it knows very well that I cannot do any harm to any human. Those are coming to see me in the zoo. And therefore we humans just go outside, and what we say? We just show our bravery. That, oh, I have seen tiger in the zoo. I just faced it. I saw it in front of me. But in reality, if we go in any jungle and if we just face any tiger, what will happen? We know it very well. So now, because the tiger is inside the cage, it is in prison, so we just show our bravery, and because the strength of the tiger is limited to that cage itself. So therefore, now tiger is not at all paying attention to human being, because it knows very well that I am not able to attack any human being because I am inside a cage. So in this way, the tiger does not pay any attention, rather it keeps moving in the cage itself. Even it is very angry, but it cannot show even its anger, because it knows very well that it is helpless. So in this way, we have seen the tiger's strength is becoming limited when it is in the cage. Next, if I go in the last stanza, somewhere the poet is showing that a tiger is somewhere consoling itself when it is satisfied in some of the point, but in some of the point it is not at all happy. And what is shown in this poetry, in the last stanza, what we can see, the poet is saying that the tiger's brilliant eyes are seen. We can see the brilliant eyes. Brilliant means here not intelligent. Brilliant means big, or brilliant means ferocious. Brilliant means dangerous. So we can see the brilliant eyes, and the tiger, he is saying the tiger might be inside the cage, is thinking about the human. And we can also see this thing in how he is thinking and what he is thinking. Let us check it out. So the tiger might be thinking, the poet is saying the tiger might be thinking that the people, the patrolling people in the cage, in that cage means in that zoo, the patrolling people or the police jeep, when it comes on for patrolling, the light comes, and we know it very well, when the light folks came in our eyes, that time how how we feel and how tiger feels. So the poet is saying might be the feeling of human and tiger same, because whenever light comes in our eyes, we just do not feel it good. In the same way, tiger might also not be feeling good, and but somewhere he is feeling very good, because the stars which he can see in the sky are same which the tiger sees in the forest, because the stars are same. In the cage where the tigers are kept, from where it is we can see it second side, means it is transparent or it is only a kind of net. So tiger can see outside, we can see inside. So the poet is saying, as the tiger can see or enjoy the lights of a star at night, in the same way it can also enjoy the lights of a star at night in the zoo or cage also. So that is the consoling point for the tiger for itself, and here he is just keeping itself happy. In this way we have seen the 5 stanzas of this poetry. And now next I am talking about all the poetic devices. So poetic devices which I am going to tell you, number 1 which I already told you, that is personification. And what is personification? When a lifeless thing or the thing which is full of life but not human being, when they are compared as he or she, when they are called he or she, it means we are showing personification. So in this poetry, in the first, second and third stanza or fourth stanza, we can see the poet is calling tiger he. Therefore, it is personification. The second thing, metaphor, we can see. Metaphor is what? Comparison of something. Comparison of something with lifeless to lifeful. Means living and non-living things are shown together in a comparison. So what is comparison is shown here? The tiger's paws. Tiger paws, the bottom part of the legs, and it is compared with velvet. The velvet is non-living thing, tiger paws is living thing. So when both are same equal, the paws are as soft as velvet. It means it's a metaphor. So 2 poetic devices we have taught. Number 3 is alliteration. Now alliteration is what? In the third stanza it is shown. Alliteration means the repetition of consonant letter in a line. Means in a line, repetition of 2 or 3 consonant letter coming as the starting letter or initial letter. Here we can see snarling should is coming in third stanza first line, that is should and snarling, so therefore it is called alliteration. Apart from this we can see enjambment. Enjambment means what? If you pay attention in the lines, you will find that there is no full stop, comma or anything is given, means no punctuation mark is used. So whenever no punctuation mark is used in first 4 lines, if you read, you will find that there is no punctuation mark is used. It is starting from the first line and ending with the last line. Therefore it is called enjambment. And now next is what? Oxymorons. Oxymorons means it is talking about 2 different words which are just showing contradiction in itself. Contradiction means opposite. They are just opposite in itself. In the first stanza it is shown. And which are the 2 words? Quiet and rage. So quiet and rage both are different words having opposite meaning. Quiet and rage are opposite of each other. Quiet means calm, peaceful. Rage means angry. So peaceful, angry. Okay, so these are just opposite word of each other. So when we see the opposite words are used to show something same, at the same time something is told good or bad, both. So in anger also and calm also. The tiger is shown in the zoo, it is very angry but still it is calm. So when 2 words are just shown opposite at that time and at the same time it is said positive and negative both, then it is called oxymoron. So these are the poetic devices or figure of speech, we can call them. They are used in this poetry, and I hope you understood the poetry very well and you will be happy to see this video. You will be able to know the answers of the question, you will be able to know the figure of speech, the poetic devices, and you also know the rhyming scheme of the poetry, which is A, B, C and again D. So I hope this poetry is very well explained and you are very much clear with this poetry. With this hope, I would like to stop the video here only. All the best to the students, and have a good day, have a good time. Thank you very much.